Hello everyone, Mr. MC here, back with another Gran Turismo 7 racing video where we're doing Daily Race B at High Speed Ring with any Group 1 car, but the twist here is that tuning is enabled, so you can adjust quite a few things from the suspension side of things, the differential and downforce, and the downforce is especially going to be helpful in making your car super fast here, as you'll see in a moment. But here we go, lights go green, check control out 1 to make sure I don't spin out at the very start of the race. The Sauber right behind almost catches up, but because they have a lot more downforce, I'm going to go ahead and leave them behind as I gained a bit more speed, much quicker than the others around me. Going to catch up to 14th place and pass them without an issue. And I'm going to go ahead and catch up to 13th and 12th place, but because we are approaching turn number 2, I'm going to go ahead and stay back to make sure I don't go into the wall. This turn is really dangerous. If you brake too late, then you do risk hitting the wall and getting a wall hitting penalty. And then for turn number 3, this is where things really start to kick off, especially in front of me, as there's a whole group of cars just going into each other. Some cars almost going off of the track, and I'm just doing my best to not hit anyone. And right away, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze past multiple cars and already jump into top 10. But here comes the final corner. This one is a bit dangerous because of the disparity in between setups, and right away going much faster than a whole bunch of other cars, going quickly into 7th place. And just in one lap, we've already gained multiple positions. And we're going to go ahead and what the heck is going on over there, as 2 cars ended up going into each other on the main straight. One of them was losing control, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at what happened back there. So it all really kicks off on turn number 3. So this person in 7th place is going to go into the back of 6th place. It looks like he tried to slow it down to give back the position, or at least trying not to pass the car he punted, but then he gets punted by 2 of the cars and then picks up a 3-second penalty. This guy is not happy with the car that is on the left, because that was the one that went into the back of him. They can't carry as much speed because of the damage they have, so they're going a bit slow through the final corner. I passed by them, and somehow this guy got hit by me, even though I wasn't close to him. And then he tries taking them out, and it's not going to work. He's actually just going to end up going into the wall. So yeah, so a bit of shenanigans going on, quite a bit of shenanigans going on. And I'm just over here just trying to survive and trying not to hit this wall. Especially after they made the wall detection a lot more sensitive. So I know it was in the first hour or 2 of this daily race where you were easily able to wall ride turn number 2, but they eventually updated it, so now the wall detection is incredibly sensitive. You really do not want to touch the wall, otherwise you risk getting a wall riding penalty. But here we're going to be stuck behind P6 as we are going through the high-speed corner. But here, this is where my Nissan R92 CP is really going to go ahead and stretch his legs and just really catch up to 6th place, especially as I'm under their slipstream. I'm going to go ahead and try to get past him, but because I wasn't feeling too confident in trying to pass him, especially with turn number 2 approaching, I'm going to think better of it and just wait patiently right behind him. But he goes into turn number 2 a bit too hot, ends up losing a lot of speed right there, so I want to go ahead and easily pass him. And now my eyes are set on 5th and 4th place, as they're not too far from each other. Actually, 5th place has a penalty. I think it was a half-second penalty for hitting the wall, so he's going to go ahead and serve it right here. I'm going to catch up to him a bit. He didn't lose too much speed, but it's still enough where you can really notice it. And luckily I am going to be under his slipstream, so I'm going to go ahead and start to reel him on in, especially as we start to hit the really high speeds. And that's the nice thing about this low downforce setup. I can reach incredible speeds, already going 235, wait, almost there, 235 miles per hour. Am I going to hit 240? I think I even hit 241 miles per hour. So we're going super fast throughout this track. And that's the thing, because with this race, there is pretty much only one car you want to use for this race, and that is a Nissan R92 CP, which is why you see almost everyone in this lobby using it, because this car is the king of high speed BOP, especially if the main straight or any of the straights is incredibly long. For example, Le Mans without the chicane, this car is top. High speed ring, this car is top. And especially with being able to adjust the downforce, whack the downforce as low as you can tolerate, and this car is going to be unmatched. Like, no other car is going to be able to reach the speed that this car can reach. And I will show the tune that I use later in the video as we get past 5th place, as he went just a little too deep into turn number 2, and I was able to just cut on the left. I'm going to go ahead and set my eyes on P4 as we were catching up to him a bit, but he did pull away just a little bit throughout this lap. But I think we are still in the substitution range, so I should be able to reel him on in a bit as we go throughout the race, and just try to be really careful to here. I am running a low downforce setup. I think my front downforce was around 569, which I think is a pretty nice value for the front downforce. But here you go, under the substream, slowly catching up to him, but we are catching up to P3, and I think it's P2 up there. P1 is already long gone, so we're not even going to worry about him. And just going to be careful through here. I am going a bit slow through here because this was my very first daily race of the day, and I'm doing this all on the controller because I was too lazy to whip out the wheel. So yeah, so doing all this on the controller, mainly because I'm lazy. But we're going to see if we can catch up to P3 as he's about to serve a penalty. And there we go, easily pass him. So now we're up into P4. So now our eyes are set on P3 as we will be entering podium if we pass him. Maybe even P2 as he's not too far up ahead. Anything is possible. We still have 2 more laps to deal with. And just look at that, just slowly catching up to 3rd place. But I was thinking about bump drafting him on this turn, but I didn't know how the cars would react to bump drafting in the middle of the corner, so I decided to not go for it. Just gonna play it safe through here, especially through turn number 2. Really don't want to hit that wall and risk getting a penalty because it will hurt quite a bit. So it's gonna go ahead, just try to be careful going through these corners. I know with my tune, the car does like to step out a bit coming out of these long sweeping corners, and there you go. So we're not gonna have that much time left, so got to be thinking about how I'm gonna pass 3rd place, maybe even 2nd place. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and stay under the substream and hope that I can gain enough speed to inch closer to these people, maybe even past him. But I think it looks like right now I think I have just a little too much front downforce because I'm not really making progress in catching up with these 2 cars, as P3 and 2 are starting to fight it out now. Gonna see if they're gonna try to murder each other, and P3 is gonna go into P2, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass P3. So we're up into podium. I'm gonna pass P2, gonna pass him for a brief moment, but I am going on the outside. Gonna see if we can try to swing it back in, try to go for the move. He is giving me just enough space, but I'm gonna go ahead and actually back out of it as I wasn't too confident with trying to fight it out through there. And I'm gonna see if I can try to take advantage of the substitution to go for a move at the very last moment. Gotta nail down this high-speed corner, and I am slowly catching up to him, but is it gonna be enough to be able to pass him? And unfortunately, it's not gonna be it. It's gonna be right behind P2, but luckily I did enter podium. So starting from the back, I think this was a pretty fun result. Luckily able to just somehow avoid the majority of the chaos without getting too caught up in it myself. But yeah, pretty fun race number 1. Let's go on over to race number 2. Alright, welcome to race number 2, where someone did not get the memo and they entered the race with the Mazda L55. Good luck to you. But we're gonna go ahead and get started with the race. Again, traction control at 1 to make sure I don't spin out to start. I might get a bad start here, even as I'm starting in last place, but with the lack of downforce, I will be able to catch up to them because I can carry a lot more speed. As we easily get past 14th place, am I going to pass 13th and 12th place? It's sort of, but then things are going to get incredibly awkward over here. I'm going to go ahead and brake early for turn number 2, and there's going to be a bit of shenanigans going on as some cars are going into each other and they're going to go into the wall. And I did lose some spots, but I was able to survive to fight another day. And there's actually, there's quite a bit of shenanigans going on. I'm just going to hang back and relax as I'm just going to wait for them to take each other out so I can easily pass them. But so they are going into each other, but they're not taking each other out. I'm going to go ahead and go into the back of P12, so I accidentally gave him a heck of a speed boost. I'm going to try to get past these cars, but then P12 gets in the way, and I'm just going to try to force my way through. Going to go into the back of P12. There's an opening on the left, so I'm going to go for the opening, bump P12 again, which ended up bumping into the L55, but they're not carrying that much speed, so I'm going to go ahead and easily pass them all and start to run away from them as I'm just about to hit 230 miles per hour. There we go, 230 miles per hour. And I'm going to brake nice and careful for turn number 2. I don't want to hit the wall, because if I hit the wall, I'm definitely going to get a penalty, and all that progress I just made is going to be for nothing. Now, there is a bit of a thing with this race, so I did mention that tuning is a thing, and well, tuning is a thing, and then you have Group 1 cars where the BOP is just wild as I pass P10. Where you have some cars that are incredibly good at handling, like the Porsche 919 Hybrid, but then it is abysmal when it comes to top speed. And then you have cars like the Nissan R92 ZP, where it is the king of high speed BOP and high speed areas, but it is abysmal when it comes to cornering. Now throwing tuning in, that's just going to open a whole can of worms. I mean, it kind of did, which I think that's part of the reason why there's no one doing this race, or not that many people doing this race. At least this is the case in the Americas region, because this was being recorded at 7 p.m. Pacific time. You'd think there'd be a lot more participation, but oh, 7th place saved it right there. Very nice. But at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I would have thought there'd be more people doing this race, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case. I know in the first race I was the only 8+ rated player there. I think this one is a few more. I think it was 2 people there, but not 100% sure. But yeah, participation is not that high, especially if I'm seeing B rated drivers in this race. It's like, okay, this race is unfortunately not that popular. But we did pass 8th place as we took advantage of our downforce, or lack thereof. Gonna use a bit of that slipstream. Am I gonna hit 240 miles per hour right here? No. Gonna brake at 238 miles per hour. The car did step out a bit, but luckily I did not hit the wall. And again, I'm trying to be really careful to not hit that wall, because even a half-second penalty, you're gonna feel it. And if someone is right behind you, then there is a chance that they will pass you or try to fight you into the final corner. Now I do want to show you what big of a difference a setup can make, where again with this one I'm running a low downforce setup, so it's not the greatest on corners, but on the high speed areas you're just going to easily pass those who have a lot more downforce. Like, it looked like he wasn't even moving at all and just easily passed him. And we are now inching towards P5. Am I going to be able to get past P5? Who knows? But I am going to be able to hit 240 miles per hour. So again, we're going super fast with this car. And that's with the rear downforce at minimum value. I think rear downforce is 1,000. And for the front downforce, I was fiddling around with 550, anywhere from 550 to 600 front downforce. That seems to be the sweet spot for me. And I was seeing other people put their front downforce values around us. So again, that seems to be the sweet spot. But we have been able to catch up to P5. Am I going to be able to get past him? Sort of. Just going to barely squeeze by on the outside. He's carrying a lot more speed. And we have some cars up in front starting to fight it out a bit. So I'm going to see if I can try to catch up to them. And short answer is yes. So we are right behind fourth and third place. Third place is about to say or serve a half-second penalty, but then okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so his internet is acting up. I thought he just gave up on driving because of the penalty he has, but yeah, it's his internet acting up, and he's gonna get bumped while being a ghost. And oh, they're gonna go into each other, and he's gonna save it right there. And unfortunately, I'm a bit of an awkward position, so I couldn't go as fast as I wanted to go. And so we could try to somehow catch up to third place, although fourth place is under the deception, so he is going to gain a bit more speed over me. So I'm just going to go ahead and hang back for now. But P6 is right behind me, and he's in a really good spot to try to go for a move. And there you go. He has his spot reserved, and he's going to go ahead and get the move done, and I'm going to fall down to P6. But there's still a bit of time left, and at this point I'm kind of just waiting for them to start to murder each other. But because these two are starting to duke it out, P3 is starting to run away, so we need to stop fighting. But then P5 is going to go into me and just send me to the wall. And I don't know if that was like his internet acting up, or if that was just him just throwing or forcing me off track. I don't know, and I'm not really going to think about it too much because there's still a bit of time left. Unfortunately, I do have a bit of damage, but it looks like P5 and 4 are fighting it out, so I think there is a chance I could catch up to them. So all is not over yet. I don't know what they're doing up in the front, but all I know is that I just got to be nice and careful through turn number 2. Just make sure I don't hit the wall, and luckily my damage has repaired itself at this point, so I can go ahead and push fourth. And P4 is going to go a bit wide right there. He does have a penalty to serve, so it looks like he hit the wall again. And try to get as close as he can to P5, and there we go. So P4 serving the penalty. Am I going to be able to get past him? It's going to be a yes. Going to be able to get past him. And I'm accidentally going to the back of P4, so hopefully he's not too mad at me about that. But I did give myself some damage, but luckily I was able to keep P5. Yeah, a bit of shenanigans happened right there, but luckily I was able to survive to fight another day. Alright, welcome to the final race of the video, where this time 2 people did not get the memo that they need to be in the R92CP. You'll see who they are in a very brief moment. You can actually see them right in front of me. As this time we're starting at the very back, starting in P16 out of 16. And we are going to get a bit of a bad start, but we are going to start to quickly catch up to them, passing the LM55 and the Toyota GR010 without much of an effort at all. Gonna get past P13. Am I gonna get past P12? Sort of. P11 even, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a very deep line, almost going to the wall. Ooh, just barely grazed the wall, but luckily somehow I was able to avoid getting a penalty. And take a defensive line as the other R92 and the Toyota are trying to get past me. The Toyota does get through, but then everyone's going to start to bundle up with each other, and just actually, yeah, the Toyota just gets past us without much of an issue right there. So pretty well done on his part. And going to see if we can try to get past P11, but we are stuck in a bit of an awkward situation. Going to try to get back on the throttle, try to get all my speed back, and I'm going to get bumped right there. And gonna start to go over 200 miles per hour. Gonna get past P10 without much of an issue, and gonna see if we can try to use that slipstream to reel myself into P9. But we are quickly catching up to the turn number 2. Gonna get past P9. Ooh, bit of a risky move right there on my end. And gonna break right before the 100-meter board and just get really close to the wall and secure P9 for now. P8 with a penalty, so we are starting to make a lot of progress pretty quickly, and gonna get held up right there for a brief moment. Gonna see if we can try to get past all these cars as we are going unusually slow, so something is going on. And gonna get past P8, P7 as well. Gonna see if we can try to get past P6, but we are going through this high-speed corner, so I'm going to go ahead and hang back for now. But P6 goes wide, going to swing to the inside, going to go ahead and get past him. Now I'm going to see if we can try to reach P5. I'm going to use the slipstream to try to reel myself in, try to go a little bit faster, but I do have to worry about P7, who is not too far behind. Hopefully he doesn't get too close and tries to make a move on me. Gonna break before the 100 meter board, get as close as I can to the wall, try to get back on the throttle as soon as I can. I'm gonna start to catch up to P5. And that is the thing with this race where, almost went to the back of P5. Yeah, this race really quick paced, and you have to be on your toes, getting ready to react as quickly as you can, take advantage of a situation as quickly as you can before the advantage closes up. But I did see P4 with a penalty, so he is going a bit slow. So I'm going to see if I can try to get past him, but I am getting held up a bit on the high speed corner. Going to try to take advantage of the slipstream, but no, the R92CP in 4th place is the one getting the slipstream. P6 is catching up to the point where he's going to easily get past me, and I'm not going to fight that out because turn number 2 is approaching, so I'm going to go ahead and brake early. P5 is going to go into P4 and go into the wall, and that wall collision is actually going to give the penalty to P4, where I think he's going to get a half-second penalty. P6 is okay. I have no idea what happened there. I think he was just braking really late, and actually he ends up leaving the race. And this is going to be the start of where I eventually start to do my fastest lap as I pass P5 now, who was serving a penalty. And I think part of it has to do with here where I do get a bit of the slipstream benefit from P3. Going to go ahead and easily pass him, as it looks like I'm running less downforce than he is, so his car is going to be better on the corners but not that great on the straights, whereas it's the opposite for me. Now, lap 5 was the lap where I ended up getting my fastest lap throughout the day. So I'm going to go ahead and brake just before the 100 meter board. Here I was able to get a pretty okay-ish turn number 2, get really close to the wall. And then for this turn, braking at around the 100 meter board, here I did go a bit wide, but I want to go ahead and swing myself back in, then go back down to 2nd gear, back up to 3rd gear, and just trying to get on the throttle as early as I can. Luckily, I was able to get the rotation needed to exit out of that turn pretty quickly. And for the final corner, I'm going to do a quick lift off our throttle to not go into the wall on the right. Just carry all that speed. And here I was able to get a 56.6, so this was the fastest lap I was able to do all race long, or well, throughout the entire race and that day. But now my eyes are set on P1 and 2 as they are not too far up ahead, about 2.5 seconds up. Getting really close to getting that penalty. Luckily I was able to get away from it. But I am going to skip on over towards lap number 7, where I was able to catch up to P1 and 2. P2 is going to get a penalty for hitting a wall, likely the wall on turn number 2. He's going to go ahead and serve that penalty, and I'm going to be able to just squeeze past him before the final corner, where I can just do a quick lift off our throttle, try to carry that speed into the new lap, which is going to be the final lap. Now my eyes are set on P1. Am I going to be able to catch up and pass P1 before this lap ends, as this lap is the final lap of the race. He's going to try to be careful through turn number 2. Turn number 2 is incredibly easy to mess up. Am I going to mess it up? And unfortunately I do mess it up because I took it way too carefully and then going too slow through turn number 2. Turn number 3, how is that going to work out for me? Going to brake a bit too deep, or brake a bit too late and go a bit too deep into turn number 3. Turn number 4 is going to fare better for me, but is this going to be enough for me to be able to catch up to 1st place? I am slowly trying to inch my way closer and closer to P1, as I should be within his slipstream range, but unfortunately P1 is going to be able to hold this spot, as I am just a little too far back to try to catch up to him. But still, I was able to finish in P2 after starting at the very back of the race, starting P16. So this was a pretty good race for me. pretty good results at the end of the day. And yeah, so before I go, I do need to show you the setup that I was using for this race. And the main thing here is to lower the downforce in general. With a lower downforce, you'll be able to carry a lot more speed. And yes, you will need to slow down a bit more for the corners, but you make up so much time on the main straight with the lower downforce that it ends up being worth it. So for the rear downforce, you want to lower all the way to 1000. For the front downforce, if you want max speed, you can lower all the way to 500. But if you want a nice balance of having a bit of speed while also being able to handle decently on the higher speed corners, anywhere from 550 front downforce to 600 front downforce seems to be the sweet spot. I think Tijani had his at 550. I like to have mine at a nice value of 569. There was another person that had it at 600, so 550 to 600 seems to be the sweet spot for the front downforce. For the suspension settings, generally speaking, I stiffened it up. So 610 for the anti-roll bars, minimum front compression, and then max all the other dampers out. The natural frequency, I did soften it a bit for a bit more mechanical grip. So the front is minimal value, rear is at a nice value of 3.69 hertz. And the differential, I lowered the initial torque and braking sensitivity to make the car feel a bit more agile. And I left the acceleration sensitivity at 20. Brake balance will be up to you. That one I had it at +1. And I will show you a quick run through of my lap. So this is in time trial where you can see me just taking the final corner flat out. And unfortunately with this one, I wasn't able to match or beat my personal record time of a 55.855, but I got pretty close to it, so I went ahead and used this footage as I didn't have the other one. Yeah, turn number 2, really painful to nail down your braking before the 100 meter board. And you're trying to get on the throttle as soon as you can. If you do it right, you will have a bit of the downforce to carry you throughout the rest of the turn. Here, braking at around the 100 meter board, got to be careful right there because this car, at least with this tune, it does like to get a bit squirmy under the brakes. So my suggestion is to brake in as straight of a line as possible to reduce the risk of having the car step out like that. And final corner, even if you're at 550 front downforce, it is possible to take the final corner flat out in time trial. In the race, you definitely want to lift off a throttle just for a little bit to make sure that you don't hit the wall. But there we go, 55.8, and that's going to be for me. If you like this video, you can press a like, subscribe, and all the good stuff. But this is Mr. MCA. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.